smooth. That's how your freestyle should feel and look. But what does that actually mean? Where should your right arm be when your left arm enters the water? Today, we're diving into an area that is so often overlooked, the timing of your freestyle stroke.
Now, there is a lot to think about with freestyle swimming. Now, if we break it down into its individual parts, we've got the hand entry, the catch, the pull, the hand exit, the recovery, the rotation, the leg kick, and so on. And quite often we think about all of those individual parts in isolation, and we work on them to try and perfect them individually. But very rarely do we bring all of that together and think about how those individual parts work in conjunction with one another and the timing with that. And that really is the key to swimming, and where you can see a huge benefit and improvement with your swimming. But before we get on to that timing and how they all work together, we'd love it if you supported the channel. If you're not doing so already, please do subscribe to GTN, and if you're enjoying this video already, give it a like.
If you have bad timing of your stroke, it's almost like your car is misfiring. You have these dead spots in your stroke where you lose momentum, and then you have to put more energy in to regain that momentum again. If you've ever tried single arm freestyle, you will know that feeling of when your arm is recovering over the water, you have a real lull in your forward progress. When you're swimming with both arms, you want one arm to always be propelling you forward. And you also want your legs to be complementing this forward momentum. Obviously, you don't want both hands to ever be at the same part of your stroke cycle, for example, both by your side, or swimming a catch-up style where you don't start your next stroke until your other hand reaches the front. You also don't want to be the complete opposite and to be windmilling your arms. You might have no pause, but it'll be exhausting and inefficient. You do, however, want to be starting your catch as your recovery arm is just passing your shoulder. This will require some rotation to keep that front arm horizontal in the water. You also need to add in the timing of your breath to get this to work. Like we said, there's more to it than meets the eye.
So we should probably look at how we time your breathing into the stroke. Now, if you end up trying to take a breath too early, well, your body just won't be in its position ready to take that breath. Rather than being rotated onto its side, you might be flat in the water in another phase of the stroke, and therefore you end up craning your head around trying to take that breath. Rather uncomfortable. Or what may happen is you end up forcing a rotation far earlier in the stroke than it needs to be, and therefore actually losing the effectiveness and the reason for that rotation, which is to get a more powerful and stronger stroke. And therefore you lose all of that. And the stroke ends up rushed. You end up rushing that recovery, and it all just ends a little bit out of whack. Or if you do end up taking the breath too late, then again, you're going to be trying to squeeze that breath in very quickly before the body rotates back over, and therefore not getting a very effective breath. Basically, we need to get it spot on. So to get it right, actually think of timing it with the pulling arm. As that pulling arm enters the water, you'll already be rotating to the opposite side, instigating your breath. The recovering arm will then be moving over the water towards your head. Then as it nears your head, think of it as if it's pushing your head back down into the water. Now, as with any technique work, and particularly with swimming, I do appreciate this probably all sounds rather overwhelming. So if you're not quite following, don't worry, because we're now going to try and break it down for you.
Single arm is a good drill to work on the timing of your breathing, and you can even slow it down too, so you can really focus on the position of your head as that arm comes through. A progression of single arm is to do a full stroke, and just before your hand enters the water, pause and take it back to the hip before repeating the recovery phase. So essentially doing the recovery phase twice. You would want to put a pull buoy in or fins in for this so that you can keep a good body position, because you will be doing a lot slower swimming while you're actually doing a double recovery single arm. Swimming slowly wearing fins will also help you really work on the overall timing of your stroke. Wearing fins keeps your body in a good position while you are going slowly, and you can really concentrate on that timing. And you may also want to put a snorkel in for this, so you don't even have to worry about turning your head at any point, and you can really focus on how those arms are moving through the water and through the air to get the timing right.
Well, now you've nailed the timing of your arms with your breathing, right? Yeah, no, I appreciate it. You're probably not going to nail that one overnight. It's actually very complex and does take some time. So do stick with it and don't give up hope just yet. Just keep working on that one. But now we're going to move on to arguably one of the most overlooked parts of the stroke and timing with that, and that is your leg kick with the rest of your stroke. Most people just aimlessly kick and trying to integrate that with a stroke, but actually trying to time your leg kick with your stroke can have a big impact on your swimming. Now what I'm talking about here is timing the hand entry with a downward beat of the opposite leg. This acts as a counterbalance for that movement, but also can actually help with the rotation too. Now, for the sake of explaining the timing with the kick, we're actually going to reduce it down to just a 2-beat kick. So that is 1 kick per arm pull. You can then, of course, build the high kick rates back in once you've got this key part of the timing dialed in. In fact, it's actually a good idea to eliminate the kick altogether to reset, so to speak. So use a pull buoy to isolate the arms and feel the rotation. Then start to imagine the opposite leg kicking downwards as you start the catch. When you go back to full stroke, the movement will feel more noticeable.
Another great drill is the opposite aids drill. Simply put a paddle on your right hand and a fin on your left foot and swim like that. And it really isolates that one side of your stroke when you're swimming. And then of course, swap to the other side, and you'll probably find that one side feels a lot more natural than the other side. You can also play with your speed while you're doing this drill to find the stroke rate that feels the most natural with that rhythm. And of course, when you're just swimming generally, when you go back to normal swimming, you should also play with your stroke rate and your speed, because you may find that there's a stroke rate that works a little bit better for your timing than what maybe you have been doing until now. So play with your speed and your stroke rate to see what works best for you. And I think that's enough information for a single video. There is a lot to digest. Keep working on it and keep swimming, and happy training.